We don't talk enough about the fact that the Vice President of the United States, smoky eye sociopath JD Vance, Little Smokey, is a failed drag queen, which Pumps just reminded me before we started filming. He's changed his adult name 3 times.
Three
Okay, so
times.
talk about like naming ideology or ambiguity. It's really rich that these people always want to claim the moral high ground over people when they themselves, JD Vance, there's multiple photographs of him trying to be a drag queen. He failed at it. He completely failed. So then he turned into a complete neo Nazi. But here he is, and I want you to play this clip of failed drag queen Lil Smokey talking about labeling trans people a terrorist organization. This is very fucking serious, you guys.
Militant transgender movement, is that a domestic terrorist threat?
If you are encouraging people to commit acts of violence against the United States government or against your fellow Americans, absolutely, you're involved in a terrorist movement.
Okay, I think it's really rich that little Smokey sits there and he is literally one eye stroke away from having a full-blown smoky eye, sitting there calling the most marginalized group that all they're doing is just fighting to exist without being bullied by their government or their fellow citizens. He's calling them terrorists. It's so reckless. It's so dangerous. It's so cruel.
And Jesse Waters, the way he framed the question, there is no such thing as militant transgender. Like, what the fuck are they even talking about?
All right, next up, this is where it's going to get really dangerous, you guys. And the Drudge Report picked up Ken Klippenstein's reporting on this. And this is serious. The FBI to label all trans violent extremists, Nazi style persecution of entire group. This is why you never leave anyone behind when you're talking about equality and you're talking about human rights. None of us are free until all of us are free. So centrist Democrats that say, oh, we just can't talk about trans issues. Number one, I'll remind you, the people that talk about them all the time are the MAGA Republicans, first and foremost. Secondly, we cannot abandon anyone because what happens is these MAGA fascists are going to start with trans people and they move the goalposts and move the goalposts and move the goalposts. We've already seen what they're doing to immigrants. We've already seen now how the Latinos for Trump, he's underwater with like minus 40 points. Okay. So I get that a lot of people have buyer's remorse, but we've been whistleblowing on this podcast from the jump. And I'm just telling you, it is a moral shortcoming for anybody to sit and judge a transgender person. They're not like you. So what? Why are you so insecure that you need everybody to be just like you? It's just like the evangelical Christians. Everybody has to be just like them. It is so incredibly dangerous. And to start talking about a Nazi style persecution of these poor trans people. And I know some trans people and they're lovely people. And I would even argue that the members of the LGBTQ plus community that I know personally, because they've had to overcome the judgment and the sanctimony that MAGA Republicans and MAGA Christians exude onto them all the time. They had to overcome all of that and have the courage to come out and be who they are some of the best people I know. Give me a trans person, give me a gay person, give me a lesbian, give me a queer, 12 times out of 10 before I want to hang out with some MAGA Christian.
I completely agree because of the judgment. But I think the through line is the judgmental Christians and how they judge trans people. It's all because they think they're better and they get to stand in judgment. Now we're seeing that in action. They've dehumanized immigrants. So now they can put them in concentration camps. Now they want to do it with trans people. It's terrifying.
All right, now fasten your seatbelts, buckle up, buttercups, because there's a big plot twist. Study has come out that data is finding that Republicans are obsessed with searching for transgender porn. Well. Republicans love trans porn a lot, with more than 4.7 million transgender porn related Google searches each month. Do Republicans represent those searching the most? The answer seems to be a clear yes. And here are the searches for she-male. This is a term used to find trans style pornography. And as you can see the map of the United States, just why don't you take a gander at the Bible Belt?
Yeah.
It's lit up like an intercontinental ballistic missile, that thing. And then take a look at Oklahoma. Look at Texas.
Mhm.
This is the one here for femboy. So shemale and femboy. Look at this map. Look at this here. Look at how red Oklahoma is, pumps. Look at that.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Bible Belt. And here's the thing. Look at Utah, all those Mormons. Here's the thing, you guys. If you want to watch trans porn, that's your business. Unlike MAGA Republicans, I don't want to get all involved in your sex life. I don't want to control your OBGYN appointments. I don't want to get in your business. I don't want to tell you what television shows to watch. I want to have everyone have free speech and everybody have complete agency over that. So, but tell me why the number one city that Googles trans porn, as I dug into the data on that, is Lawton, Oklahoma. Lawton, Oklahoma, which Trump won by, I think, over 40 points, you guys. So why are all these MAGA Christians searching up trans porn while at the same time supporting this regime in their effort to persecute trans people? And I'll tell you why. It's the same reason they hate women. They have been so brainwashed by their religions to think sex is shame. It's from the devil. Beelzebub. I can always get her to laugh at that. The devil. They've been so shamed to think that feeling lust or passion or wanting to fuck is so bad. They think it's so bad, then they hate the object of their desire. And so some people, which, hey, it's a free country. You want to beat off to trans porn, swing for the fence. It's not my business. I don't care. What I care about is that you don't declare falsely and for exploitative reasons the trans community as terrorists. That's just so unbelievable. And it's so unbelievable how quick so many Democrats were to say after Kamala lost, yeah, we need to quit talking about the trans stuff. And it's like, no, we actually need to talk about it more because look at what they're going to do with them. Look at what their ambitions are for trans people. That's the time to show who you are as a person. And do you stand with the most marginalized group or do you stand with the oppressors? Or the worst part, do you just silently ignore it because it doesn't affect your life?
I think a lot of people fall into just silently ignore it because it doesn't affect their life. It is, when you look at that map and you see all the red, it's all the Bible belts. When you look at the top cities, Lawton, Oklahoma, I mean, it's God and guns, hoorah over there.
And trans porn.
And trans porn. Grinder crashes. I just have to say it. I know we always say it, but if you're talking about trans people all the time and you're talking about gay people and drag queens, you like it because normal's a bad word, but just your average Joe does not talk about everybody else's sex life all the time. And that's all you hear. Genitals, 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 genitals.
And especially on Fox News.
Especially on Fox News.
I personally would like to see the Google searches of everybody that works at Fox News. They can make their identities anonymous, but I want to see what these Google searches are because I have never heard a network, an entertainment channel masquerading as a news channel, be so obsessed with less than 1% of the population. I've never seen anything like it. It is so unbelievable. But here's the thing too, you guys. If any of you, which I hope all of our listeners do, a lot of our listeners are what we refer to as gaytriots. Any of you who have gay people in your life, ask them, tell me about the down low MAGA men on Grindr. And every single one unanimously, it is a universal experience, will go, oh girl, those queens. Let me just tell you about them. It is story after story after story after story of all of these married, church-going hypocrites that go out and vote this way, and then they're power bottoms at night. It is universal across the Republican Party. I'm not saying all MAGA men are closeted gay. And I just want to say this, in a normal instance, I have deep compassion for people that feel like they have to closet their sexuality. I have deep compassion for that. And I stand with you and I say that that is none of my business. But I have complete disgust and anger towards closeted individuals that do gay stuff at night and then wake up in the morning and oppress the very people who they are themselves. And they oppress the people who had to go through the actions that these MAGA politicians and these closeted MAGA men don't have the courage to do because they're cowards. And so they want to bully the people who actually are courageous, that were shamed and shunned by their families, pressed into the closet, and they broke out of it and went through all of the tormented cycle of coming out to your family, especially if we live in the Bible Belt. And I've had so many gay friends my whole life, and I know their experience. And then they finally get to the other side and they have pride, and they have a pride flag. And then you have all these same bigots that are triggered by something that these individuals had to have bravery, emotional depth, emotional maturity to come out and finally get to the place of pride. And then they want to just squash them down again.
Well, this is what makes me so crazy. They want to talk about trans people and gay people all the time. That affects their lives fucking zero. But they don't want to talk about guns when kids are getting shot at school, people are being assassinated, police are being shot. Like, let's talk about guns. That affects other people.
Let's talk about, as James Tallarico says, Pumps, the less than 1% are trans. Let's talk about the 1% that's not paying their taxes, the billionaires that are fleecing everybody.
Agree. And not only that, we're going to designate a trans terrorist organization when it's less than a percentage point. I think it's 4.0%.
How about a MAGA terrorist
That's
organization?
what I was saying. But 75% are right-wing extremists. There's your terrorist organization right there.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right. And the last one is, I don't know if y'all remember when Biden won. And, Biden was one of the most religious presidents we'd had in a long time. And he never pushed it on people. He was a devout Catholic. He went to church all the time. He had like a rosary thing that he carried around. And I think he was very, very, very sincere in his faith and a very sincere Catholic. Well, there was a priest that wanted to refuse to give Joe Biden communion. Seth, put up the clip. Catholic leader who wanted to deny Biden communion resigns after caught using gay dating app. So here, in conclusion, in summary, what I'm going to tell you is all the porn searches for trans porn, Bible Belt, MAGA states, those are hotbeds of it. The priests and the freaks that want to judge Joe Biden, and I'm not talking about Democrats and far leftists watching me here. I'm not going to get into his presidency. I'm just talking about the fact that he was a good, dutiful Catholic. I mean, way more religious than my personal request for a politician. And the guy who wanted to not give him his cracker and a shot of red wine is out on these same websites, which is just classic. And the problem isn't transgender terrorism, you guys. The problem is broken MAGA men that are DL gay or DL into trans porn who hate themselves for it. So in turn, they are going to terrorize everybody else. Trans people are not terrorists. They are the victims of right-wing terrorism is what I believe, because all this red right here, you guys, that's where all the porn searches are. Bible Belt. Mike Johnson, why don't you go to Louisiana and figure out what's going on with that?
I kind of feel like he already knows.
I couldn't have ended it any better. That's perfect, Pumps. All right, we'll see you all later.